Good evening and welcome to tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. Let me introduce some people from town government that assist this board. To my left, Paul Henning, attorney to the board, and to his left, Elaine Leonard, principal planner in the planning department. You are all here tonight seeking some type of relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinances, and it's our job to try to help you achieve your goals wherever possible. It's your job to provide us with precise, accurate information so we as a board can make decisions based on the facts that you present tonight. We as a board must consider the 5 factors, and they're listed here for you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Second, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other means. Third, whether the variance is substantial. Fourth, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And fifth, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Procedures for tonight. Cases will be called in the order they are listed. When you're called, please present your certificates of postings and mailings to Ms. Leonard. And then you will go to the podium where you state your name and address for the record and proceed to tell us why you need the variance. At the end of your presentation, if anyone in the audience would like to speak on your case, they will be given one opportunity to do so. And then you can come back to the podium and answer their concerns. There are 3 ways to find out about your case. You can stay tonight after the hearing, but there's no guarantee that your case will be voted on tonight. You can call the planning office tomorrow, or you can wait and be notified by mail. We do have one adjournment tonight. That is case 17471, Williams Chevrolet. That is adjourned to July 26th.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, am I on? Yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 17552, Weidig, Albert, and Eileen, 54 Morewood Drive, south side of Morewood Drive, east of Charter Lane, Smithtown. The zoning is R10. The request is for a variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 8 feet and total side yards from 28 feet to 20 feet for an existing 80-square-foot shed. Reduce paving distance from side property line from 1 foot to 0 feet.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing to Ms. Leonard. As you can see by looking at the pictures and the survey submitted, the shed happens to be in the building envelope, and that's the reason for the variance. If it were further back, obviously we would have no need for the variance. The other application is for the paving blocks which are on the side of the property, and there's a rule in Smithtown that they should be 1 foot from the existing property line. They're right on the line. We asked the board for its favorable consideration. It certainly doesn't have an undesirable effect on the character of the area, nor does it affect the neighbors. Can we achieve the benefit by some other method? I guess you can, but the way the house is laid out and the property seems to be very convenient for my clients. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, it really isn't. The shed is nestled in pretty pretty properly with the way the other structures are set up. And the paving stones are flat to the ground, so they're really not going to be affecting anybody. And I guess we could pull out a row of paving stones, but to what end? It doesn't seem to be bothering the neighbor. Whether the variance has any effect on the environment, obviously it has no effect. And was the difficulty self-created? Yeah, we did put up the shed, and we did put in the paving stones. But it's a difficulty that really is more to the benefit to my client and not adverse to anybody surrounding the client. So we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If you have any questions, Mr. Wydick is here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any questions on this case?
No. The only thing I just want to point out, Don, it's, or sorry, Vinny, it doesn't look like it's 0. It looks like it's almost a foot. It looks like it's 0.8 feet from the property line.
Yeah. It's not right on the property.
Yeah, I think they're just calling
it's
it
not
0
right on the
because it's
property.
under a
Yeah,
foot, but
I
it's,
can't hear you.
it's almost a foot off the property line. It's just under a foot, it appears to be.
Yeah, it's close.
Okay, thank you.
Planning, any questions?
No comments.
No? Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? No? Can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Case 17553, Jason Nappy, 10 Dara Court, west side of Dara Court, north of Old Nichols Road, Nesconset. The zoning is R15. The request is for a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 60 feet to 47 feet for a proposed 250 square foot roof over deck.
One second. All right. Good
Good evening,
evening.
ladies and gentlemen.
Could you state your name,
Yes.
spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
Matthew Pethram, Petherham, 1650 Sycamore Avenue, Suite 19, Bohemia, New York.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Sure. I'm
Thank you.
sorry. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Mr. Nappy is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 60 feet to 47 feet for a proposed 250 square foot roofed over deck. The granting of this application will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood as consistent with the existing surrounding development. The request is not substantial as it represents a 22% encroachment into the rear yard. The benefit cannot be achieved by an alternate method due to the layout of the home. The variance does not have an adverse effect on the environment and is consistent with the adjacent development. The conditions of this property are self-created. For these reasons, I am seeking the granting of this variance application. If the board has any questions, I would feel happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application? No?
No, thanks.
No? Planning?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to be heard on this application? No? Can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Case number 17554, Teresa DiGiorno, 35 Baylor Drive, west side of Baylor Drive, south of Dartmouth Drive, Smithtown. The zoning is R10. The request is a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 33 feet for a proposed 172 square foot first floor addition.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. If you take a quick look at the survey, you can see that the house itself is a very small house, and this addition to the, actually the kitchen would make it much more livable. We don't think it would have any effect on the change in the character of the area. There really is, we need a larger kitchen, and there's no other place to do it other than bump out the front. Whether the variance is substantial, it's not really. Again, if you look at the way the survey shows it on the property and the setbacks of the other houses on either side, it would have no adverse effect on the character of the area. There's no environmental issues, and whether it's the difficulty was self-created, we didn't build it yet. We're asking the board for their favorable consideration. If you have any questions, my client is here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
No, thanks.
No? Planning?
Planning.
No? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Case 17555, Giovanni Stanco, 935 St. John Lynn Road, southeast quarter of St. John Lynn Road and Locust Drive, Kings Park. The zoning is R10. The request is a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 35 feet to 12 feet for a proposed 400 square foot attached garage, to reduce the side yard setback from 12 feet to 9 feet for a proposed 164 square foot two-story addition.
Good evening. You need my name?
One
Sorry.
second, please. Do you have the power of attorney?
Do-
Or is your,
Oh, no, the applicant is here.
could he come up first?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
John, come on up.
Good evening. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Giovanni Stanco, 935 St. John Lane Road, Kings Park, New York, 11754.
All right, thank you. Would you like this lady to speak for you?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Could you state your name and address for the record? Spell your last name, please.
The last name is Paris, Paris. Tina Paris. I'm the architect for Mr. Stanko. The address is 490 Wheeler Road, Hauppauge, New York.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Benz and members of the board. We are here today to request a reduction in the side and rear yard setbacks because of a proposed garage and stair. The current house is a two-story home, and however, it's a single-family home. However, there were no stairs in the home when Mr. Stanko purchased the house. So in an effort to be able to utilize both the upstairs and downstairs, we have to install a set of stairs, and we are asking to do it externally, even though it'll be part of the house, rather than cutting through the existing house, as the current layout of the house is not conducive to adding another element within the house. Secondly, we're also asking to install a 1.5 car, one-story garage, because again, there's no garage, there's no shed, there's no storage on this property at all. And it would be encroaching in on the, I guess, rear yard setback. This property is currently non-conforming because of the shape of the property, as you can see. So anything that we would do on this property would require us to go before a variance. This is a condition that's been adopted by Mr. Stanko in the purchase of this property. So this is not self-imposed. So the garage we're looking to install here. And technically that's a rear yard setback. However, it's going to be 12 feet, which conforms to the 12-foot side yard setback. However, it's considered a rear yard setback. And then we have the stair in the rear, which then would be 9 feet off the rear yard as well.
Right.
Okay.
Does anybody on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thanks.
No? Planning?
No.
No? Is there anyone here in the audience that'd like to be heard in this application? Could you please come up? Could you state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
Mr. Armstrong, 58 Hemlock Drive, Kings Park, New York.
Thank you.
Who do I direct my questions to?
To the board.
Okay. Looking at the house from on St. Jolyon Road, is this addition proposed to the right side of the house or to the left side of the house?
From St. John's Road?
If I'm standing on St. Jolyon
St.
Road
John.
in front of the house, is this proposed to the right side of the house or to the left side?
The staircase is in the rear, so is in the rear. The garage would be on the left.
So you're going for the corner of
Excuse
Locust?
me, you have to
Oh,
address the
so they're
board,
going for the corner of Locust and St. Jolyon is where the addition would be?
please. Correct, where the garage would be, yes.
And it wouldn't change the ridge line of the house?
I will ask that question.
It wouldn't step it up because of the grade the way it is now?
I'll ask.
And this is for residential dwelling, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, okay. I think that's my only questions that I have, is which side of the, garage being on the left. Nothing's going to encroach on the right-hand side of the house, right?
No,
Okay, all right. Is that it?
that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll get your question answered for you. I'm sorry? I said we will get your question answered about the ridge line.
Okay, so yes, one of the additions, the garage is on the left-hand side of the house facing St. Jolyon Road. It is a one-story, whereas the building is currently two-story, so the ridge line would actually be lower than the current ridge line. So it would be completely unobtrusive.
Okay,
And that would be the only other dwelling. We're not looking to put sheds and things, so we're trying to encompass it all under one roof.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask one more question?
certainly.
Did you say that the structure is currently non-conforming?
The whole site is non-conforming because of the way the property lays out and the building
Oh.
relative onto the property.
Okay, so she doesn't, yeah. That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Case 17556, Tartamella Piacenti, 49 Derby Place, the northwest corner of Derby Place and Veronica Court. The property zoning is R15. The variance is the request is a variance to reduce minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 6 feet and total side yards from 34 feet to 22 feet for a proposed 18 by 36 in-ground pool.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted affidavits of posting and mailing to Ms. Leonard. I guess the easiest way to explain this application is for you to look at the survey, if you would. And it's probably the weirdest lot that I've seen in the town of Smithtown. And given the fact of its peculiar, irregular pie-shaped piece of land, the only place where you can put the proposed swimming pool is where it is. Any other place, well, I guess you could slide it over to the left a little bit, but the contours of the ground are such where you can see that a retaining wall has to be continued in the back of the property, and that's been applied for. It doesn't need a variance, but it does need a permit. We don't think it'll be any kind of change in the character of the area. I don't know if anybody would even know it's there. Whether the benefit sought can be done by a different placement of the pool, not really. It is what it is, and that's the way this property was mapped. I think it was mapped many years ago, and as I said, it is what it is. It is a file map. It's the map of Smithtown Hillside, filed in 1965. Why they did it this way, I don't know. But in any event, that's what we're faced with. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, not really. When you look at the whole lot is a substantial application. I wonder what happened when they filed the map and how they proposed this particular lot. But in any event, was the difficulty self-created? No, the pool hasn't been built yet, and it certainly doesn't have any environmental effects. I guess you could call this a corner lot that ends up at the back end to a point, and we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If you have any questions, I'm here.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to be heard on this application? No. Can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Case 17557, Blaine Peterson, 116 Railroad Avenue, southeast corner of Railroad Avenue and Lincoln Avenue, St. James. The zoning is R10. The request is a variance to reduce the setback and required front yard, Railroad Avenue side, from 25 feet to 0 feet for proposed 6-foot fence, to reduce the minimum setback of a proposed 6-foot fence from edge of road pavement from 20 feet to 5 feet on 4th Street.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you state your name and address for
Yes.
the record, please?
Blaine Peterson, 116 Railroad Avenue, St. James, New York.
Thank you.
And I'd like to have my brother speak on my behalf.
All right. Could you state your name, spell your last name, and give the address for the record, please?
Yep, my name's Richard Peterson, Peterson, 699 Pease Lane, West Islip, New York, 11795.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My brother's here looking for relief on his property in order to create a backyard space in order to enjoy the property as his neighbors do. The property right now is a very irregularly shaped lot. The house is placed in the corner of the yard, really allowing no area for a proper fence enclosement. In order to do this, we're looking to have the fence built according to the drawings in front of you where the red line is shown to kind of encompass the eastern side of the lot as a backyard. The neighboring fences are all in the 6-foot range at the same setback that we are looking to add on to. The property, if you tried to enclose any other area, would impede traffic and it would create a difficult corner on the corner of Lincoln, 4th, and Railroad Avenue. Main reason for closing this yard is my brother's looking to, have pets, have children, and to not have a space for them to be able to play and enjoy themselves without having the fear of them entering Railroad Avenue or the railroad, which is across the street with no protection, is of great fear. That's the case that we're looking to make to close it. I do have letters from neighboring property owners that wrote to address all of you. The first one is from Lawrence Glazer on 128 4th Street in St. James. He wrote, "To whom it may concern, I have lived at 128 4th Street in St. James for 33 years. In all that time, the property located 2 houses away, 116 Railroad Avenue, has been in neglect and in disrepair. The grass was rarely mowed, a detached garage was crumbling, and the roof of the same was rotting. The house was never painted, and it was an eyesore for the entire block. Since Blaine Peterson has moved in, he has constantly been improving the property, and it now looks entirely updated, clean, and attractive. It is now a house I am happy to say is in my neighborhood. Whatever he has done to this home has only been an improvement and in tasteful fashion. I suggest you grant the variance." The next letter is from Gerald Salter, 288 Lincoln Avenue in St. James. He wrote, "Dear Smithtown Board of Zoning Appeals, this letter is to support Mr. Peterson's request for fencing on his property at 116 Railroad Avenue in St. James. I am in agreement of Mr. Peterson's request to amend the current setback and fence height in order to facilitate adequate privacy and maintain a pleasant aesthetic. It is under a year's time, Mr. Peterson has proven to be a considerate neighbor who has made wonderful improvements to our residential community. The last letter is from Dennis and Marie Marsh. Marie is actually here tonight. I don't know if she wants to read it or she would like me to read her letter. Marie is the neighbor who is immediately adjacent to the east of the property, where her fence line is the one that's going to be continued. She wrote, "To whom it may concern, we are the next-door neighbor to Blaine Peterson, who lives at 116 Railroad Avenue in St. James. We have discussed his wishes with him to put up a 6-foot stockade fence on his portion of his property to give him some privacy. Our property is the most directly impacted by this, as our properties are adjacent to one another. It is our wish that he be allowed to put up his fence. It is his property, and his request is not out of the ordinary. The fence will be a continuation of our existing stockade fence. We ask that you consider his wishes and let him install his fence as he has requested." At that point, I thank you for your consideration. According to everything that you guys have here, I do not believe it's undesirable. I don't think it encroaches any environmental concerns, and I don't see any other way to enclose the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions?
On 4th Street, are there any other fences? It appears that there aren't fences on 4th Street that go right to the street.
No, but the existing garage that is there, I'm looking to maintain that line of sight. So the garage line is kind of acts as a fence at that point of the property, and I'm just looking to tie into it.
Okay, thank you.
Go
Planning?
ahead.
No comments.
The property
Oh.
behind actually has the same fence line, same setback on southeast corner of 4th and Lincoln.
Southeast corner.
So across the street from the garage, if you want, I can point to it on the map for you.
I think I see it.
Yeah, 285 Lincoln Avenue.
Right, so this fence line is the same type of fence line that we're looking to put on this side of the street.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, Tony?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application? No. All right, can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Case number 17558, Nancy and Rita Ganji. 2 Radcliffe Road, southeast corner of Radcliffe Road and Kings Park Road, Colmac. The zoning is R10. The request is for variance to reduce minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 28 feet on Kings Park Road, and reduce rear yard from 50 feet to 45 feet for a proposed 364 square foot first floor addition. Reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 40 feet for an existing 299 square foot deck. No, you don't want to give me that. You can come back to me and look at it.
Good evening, Chairman and the board.
Good evening. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
It's Nancy Ganji, 2 Radcliffe Road, Comac, New York, 11725.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're asking that an addition be put on to our home. It doesn't have ruts on the corner of Kings Park Road and Radcliffe Road. The addition is going to be a 13 by 28 addition. It won't have any major impact on the sight lines of the road at all. And the deck was pre-existing when we purchased the home, and it doesn't have any impact on the backyard sightline with neighbor.
That's it, right?
That's it, yeah, really.
Okay.
It's just a variance for the, it's supposed to be 40 feet, we're going to 28 feet.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions of the applicant?
No, thanks.
No? Planning?
Nothing.
Nothing? Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? No? Have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Case number 17559, Amy and Michael Rothgen. 19 Brooks Avenue, east side of Brooks Avenue, north of Smithtown Boulevard, Nesconset. Property is zoned R15. The request is for a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 60 feet to 57 feet for a proposed 320 square foot second-story deck.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Michael Rothgen, 19 Brooks Avenue, Nesconset, New York, 11767.
Is your wife going to speak?
No, I'll just,
No?
unless she
Okay.
wants to. It's up to her, really.
If you have any questions.
No? Okay.
We are requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 60 feet to 57 feet for a 320 square foot proposed second-story deck. We don't feel that there are any undesirable changes in the neighborhood. We took some pictures of some existing decks from other houses in the area, and they look like what we want. There is no environmental factors. We don't think that this is a substantial request. That's basically it. It's pretty straightforward. Anything? And if you want to see this picture with the existing houses that have a similar deck to what we will get.
I think we have some here.
Oh, you do.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
No, thanks.
No? Planning?
No.
No? Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? All right, can I have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved?
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 17560, Joseph and Megan Davinia. 28 Trescott Path, south side of Trescott Path, east of Tanyard Place, Fort Salonga. Property is zoned R43. The request is for a variance to reduce the minimum front yard from 60 feet to 51 feet for a proposed 363 square foot roof over porch.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Davania, 28 Trescott Path, Fort Salonga, New York, 11768. I'm requesting a variance to reduce my front yard setback from 60 feet to 51 feet to put a roof over porch with a reverse gable roof over the porch and the front door. This will enhance the appearance of the entryway and front of my house. Most ranch homes in the area were originally built with this covered porch, so no undesirable effect will be created. This change will enhance the area's character. Any other method will not achieve this benefit because any change will affect our setback. The variance is not a substantial change. The variance will not have any adverse effect on our environment.
Thank you. Anybody on the board have any questions on this application?
No.
Planning?
Nothing? No.
Is there excuse me, anyone in the audience like to be heard in this application? No? Have a motion to close this case, please?
So moved?
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Case number 17561, Christine McDonald, 9 Poplar Drive, north side of Poplar Drive, west of Hilltop Drive, Smithtown. The property is zoned R21. The request is for a variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 12 feet and total side yards from 34 feet to 29 feet for an existing 304 square foot attached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Christine McDonald, 9 Poplar Drive, Smithtown, New York, 11787.
Would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
Yes, please.
Fine. Could you state your name for the record, spell your last name, and give your address, please?
It's Matthew Pethram, 1650 Sycamore Avenue, Suite 19, Bohemia, New York.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Ms. McDonald is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum side yard from 16 feet to 12 feet and total side yards from 34 feet to 29 feet for an attached garage constructed without a permit. The granting of this application will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and is consistent with the existing surrounding development. The request is not substantial, and it represents a 25% encroachment into the side yards and a 15% reduction of the total side yard. The benefit cannot be achieved by an alternative method, as a garage already exists. The existing garage does not have an adverse effect on the environment, as it is consistent with the adjacent development. The conditions of this property are self-created. For those reasons, I'm seeking the granting of these variances. If you have any questions, I answer them at this time.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions on this application? No. Planning?
No?
Again, is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? No? Can I have a motion to close this case, please?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
That's it for new cases.
Hmm.
Right? Yep, that's it for new
And,
cases.
well, case 17471, William Chevrolet, that's been adjourned
That's been adjourned.
to July 26th. And that concludes our meeting tonight. Thank you.